Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Seductive Boys in the Resurgence. And I'm going to be kind of lazy because I'm doing yet another triple threat review show. One of these days, I'll get my button gear and have some other topic of the discussion at hand. But tonight, going to be talking about three more movies. And hey, Blissful. Hey, Super Batman Nerd. Hey, Russell, if you're still in here, you say love visiting hours with Michael Ironside. So this should be a treat for you, Russell. And I hope everybody else likes it as well. But is this a new mic cover? No, I've actually had it for a little while, Super Batman Nerd. Um, since you brought up the mic, um, I am purchasing another mic, which should be here tomorrow at some point. I don't know that it'll be here by the time me and Jay do midday with Dana and Jay, but it should be, in any event, it should be here by the time I do the watch alongs over the weekend. Um, but because I got this in recently and discovered that none of the three microphones that I do have will fit inside there because that hole is pretty small. So I am hopefully going to be getting a mic tomorrow at some point that will fit in this one, and it is a condenser mic. I don't know how many of you guys and gals, Blissful may know a little bit more about different microphones and stuff because she's had friends and stuff and boyfriends over the years that are musicians. So she may be more familiar with microphones than even I am, and I've been doing these streams for a little while now. But I'm going to be getting not only a new condenser microphone, but also um, you probably can't see the boom arm or whatever you would like to call it for uh, my particular microphone I have now. But if you have a pretty sturdy desk and a place that you can clamp these on, they're great because Steve has, the same kind of setup basically. He has the same type of microphone and the same type of boom arm. And, it works great for him because his desk is different than mine. Now, mine's a well made desk. It's a quality desk, but the only place that we could clip this microphone on is this little piece of wood that y'all can't see. And that piece of wood is wobbly. See, I'm wiggling that piece of wood on the desk, and you can see the microphone move. And I figure it's only a matter of time before the whole works comes off, unless I can figure out some way to, detach this and save that part of my desk, and also have something for my new microphone. I'm going to keep this one around because you never know. I might want to mix and match and trade them up. I may not always use the microphone that's got the microphone box around it. And I do have a mixer with sound effects that I'd like to bring back and start using a little bit more. And with this new mic, I'll be able to do that. So that's a long story around you asking me if it was a new mic cover, but I have several different colors of mic covers, and I was going with the pink motif, which I've done a lot with Deadites on Deck. The pink hat and the pink microphone holder and the all that. Even down to the jacket that I haven't finished, but have been steadily adding things to. You guys will get to see it at some point in time. Um, but anyway, just one more thing about the microphone. Now, Steve disagreed with me all over the place, but I kind of made you guys a promise that, barring an extreme emergency happening, the money that I receive from YouTube, That's because of you guys. That's because of people that have joined the channel, that have given super thanks and super chats and super stickers. It's all that revenue all comes from what you guys want to or can support. I don't want to say want, because a lot of people want, but sometimes they're not financially able. And I totally get that. So, any money I get from YouTube, which I was pleasantly surprised that I got $109 deposited into my checking account yesterday. At first, I didn't know what in the heck it was. And then, I looked and found out it was from YouTube. I was like, oh, that's great. Hey, Russell. And I was so pleased. And so the promise I made to you guys, or I feel like I made to you guys, that barring any emergencies happening with me, so me and Steve won't starve to death or something of that nature, a medical expense or whatever. The promise I made would be that any money I receive regarding this channel, and even regarding the t-shirts that I sell or whatever, anything that is associated with Deadites on Deck, would go right back into the channel in some form or fashion. And that includes buying new equipment. So I took a little bit of that money and got a new microphone and a stand, which should come tomorrow as well, that actually sits on my desk and can be adjusted and all that. It's got a weighted bottom to it, and it doesn't have to clip to my desk. And I was like, that is great, because I can have it sitting right here. You guys can see the microphone. You'll be able to see this if you care to see it and all of that. So that's the long story behind me getting a new mic and a new stand. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. So a few housekeeping things, and then we'll get started with these movie reviews. So first of all, I would like to say I will continue to do the Everybody Wants England streams. I'm excited and pleased as punch with how those are turning out. I like doing them. I like going back and seeing movies that I've never seen before. Some of them are not so good. Others are like, wow, I'm really glad I got the chance to watch them. However, I'm running into a little bit of a snafu, and I knew that I probably would at some point, of some of these things just simply not being available. And by things, I mean these movies that Robert Englund was associated with in some sort of fashion. Okay, so the first one I'm not real worried about. I said that I was going to be covering California Fever next week. Well, it turns out, number one, that is not a mini series. It was a show that had, it mainly starred, shoot, just went right out of my head, Jimmy McNichol and Mark McClure. And they were guys in a band and all that. So this was a 1979 show that did not take off after the first season. So therefore, it's not a mini series as it was shown to be in Internet Movie Database. So, Internet Movie Database can be wrong sometimes. So, it's been wrong over the years, and it'll probably continue to be wrong at times, because mainly they depend on people to put this information on there. And sometimes people put incorrect information on there. So I thought, well, okay. And Steve could not find the episode that Robert Englund was on, and neither could I. There are a handful of episodes that are available on YouTube, but not the particular one that I needed. So I said, fine, I'll just go on and I will try to cover Thou Shalt Not Kill from 1982, which is a made for TV movie. Well, yet again, I couldn't find it. I could only find like a 14-minute clip, and it didn't even have Robert Englund's character in it. So again, I asked Steve to see if he could check his resources. Nope, he couldn't find it either. So just a little word of warning, there may be some of these that just simply are not available, which is sad, but for whatever reason, they are not available. But I will definitely be I'll try to find a third one to cover with Dead and Buried and Galaxy of Terror, because I know I can watch them. I own Dead and Buried, and I believe I can watch Galaxy of Terror on Amazon Prime, I believe. So now that I got that out of the way, just letting you guys know, I want to be upfront and honest and all of that. So, oh goodness, I don't think it's low blood sugar, guys and gals, but I'm a little tired today. I think it's this sinus trouble that I've been having, which is why I keep sipping on this caffeine trying to get woke up. Okay. So tomorrow will be another midday with Dana and Jay. I still don't have a theme that we're going to cover, so we may just come on here and bullshit for a couple hours or something like that. But it's always fun getting together with Jay and talking about stuff, as was evident from the TMI2 show with me and Jay and his sister Kathy last night. We had loads and loads of fun. And Jay just told me a little while ago, he messaged me and said, I believe he said it was over 200 views. I think the last time I looked at it was 170 something. So Saturday and Sunday will be a couple of watch-alongs and a movie munchies on Sunday as well. So Saturday's watch-along will be Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, a bad movie, but in my opinion, so bad it's good. So if you haven't seen it before, I think you're in for a treat. Sunday's watch-along will be Play Misty for Me, the Clint Eastwood vehicle, I believe also directed by Clint Eastwood. The movie Munchies for Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And by the way, both of those watch-alongs will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But the movie Munchies for Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time will be, and this was yet another suggestion from Jay, so you can thank him for that, will be, you're going to need a bigger zucchini boat. So I'm going to be making zucchini boats with turkey and probably some seasonings and who knows what else. I've got to look at the recipe again before then. Also, want to remind everybody, there is a TeePublic sale going on. Whoops. That's what I get for hitting a button again. My mouse is a cordless mouse, and sometimes it won't move like it's supposed to, and then I end up clicking on things that I shouldn't. Sorry about that. But the sale is 35% off, $16 teas and more. The prices will increase back to normal pricing in 35 hours, 35 minutes, and about 13 seconds. So right now you can get the midday with Dana and Jay 40th anniversary Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy birthday bash shirt for $16. You can get the Captain Howdy Burgers t-shirt for $16. The Dead Pit Drive-By shirt for $16. Canadian Horror shirt, the Little Stevie shirt. Now the midday with Dana and Jay, because it's two-sided, that one is $22 right now. The retro Reggie Valentine shirt and the original Reggie Valentine shirt, both $16. The original TMI show shirt for $16. Movie Munchies original t-shirt and Movie Munchies Pigs in a Blanket t-shirt for $16 a piece. And two of the older designs, original designs I had for Deadites on Deck, also at $16 a piece. But if you're not interested in getting t-shirts and tank tops and hoodies and sweatshirts and long sleeve t-shirts and baseball t-shirts and kids apparel and all that, you can get wall art, you can get mugs, you can get pillows and totes and tapestries and pins, phone cases, stickers, and magnets. So head on over to TeePublic and check out what I've got to offer. And again, I'll put the URL in the chat for you guys and gals in case you want to check that out. Okay, so now that we got all that out of the way, let's get to these movies, shall we? So the first one I've talked about briefly on another stream, but for those of you that may have missed it, the Atticus Institute, Possess the Possession. And isn't that one hell of a picture on there? Um, the Atticus Institute is, to me, one of those creepy possession movies, right? Is it The Exorcist? No, it's not. But it still really works. It creeped me out. It got under my skin. Oh, thank you, Super Batman Nerd. So I think this just alerted me that Super Batman Nerd just joined my channel. I appreciate it, Super Batman Nerd. So the Atticus Institute, what's it about? So this is filmed like sort of like a mockumentary type of thing, like it's a true story. So Dr. Henry West is a scientist who founded the Atticus Institute in the early 1970s, and they did a really good job of making this look like the 1970s. And what they did at the Atticus Institute was to test individuals expressing supernatural abilities like ESP and clairvoyance and psychokinesis, stuff like that. So they had several noteworthy cases, but nothing that really pushed them to the forefront until Judith Winstead walks through their doors. And Judith Winstead is brought in by her sister, who we find out later was just trying to get rid of Judith because ever since Judith hurt her back, she slipped on some ice or something and hurt her back. Her sister didn't think she should live alone, so she came to live with her sister and her sister's family. And although her sister wasn't real descriptive about what Judith did, she did some bizarre, unsettling things, evidently. So she essentially wanted to get her sister out of her house, but she didn't want to, point blank abandon her. So she brings her to the Atticus Institute and basically tells the people there, yeah, my sister's got some of these abilities. So they start testing her. But the more experiments they do on Judith, they realize that there's something really strange going on. For instance, they're, doing an experiment with her, and all of a sudden she puts her hand up to her face and they see blood coming out. And at first, I think they think it's her nose or something, but they find to their horror that she's bitten her hand. And they said, "Oh my gosh, did you bite your hand?" And she starts laughing uncontrollably. Now, when she first came to the Institute, she just acted sort of like maybe she was depressed, maybe she was anxious, maybe a little withdrawn. And her sister even mentions about her withdrawing a lot. And it soon becomes apparent that there's something else at work here. And it soon becomes further apparent that she's possessed by something. Whether it's a demon or it's something else, I don't think that's ever made clear, but something has taken over Judith's mind and body. And so then the CIA, FBI, whatever gets involved, and then things go really, really awry. And it starts to affect everybody at the Institute, including Dr. West, who withdraws from his family and seems to have something that's bothering him, but he cannot tell his family. So they have interviews with his two children, they have interviews with his wife um, that are supposed to be current, telling what they went through and what they thought happened to Dr. West. But so if you really want to watch a really and you can handle these types of movies, because I know there's several people that cannot watch possession movies of any kind. They bother them. And I fully respect that. I do. Um, but if you can tolerate the subject matter, I encourage you to watch the Atticus Institute because it is 100% to me effective. Like I said earlier, it's a movie that gets under your skin and it stays there, and you're kind of thinking about it long after the movie's over. And I've seen it twice now. Well, maybe three times. I think I've seen it three times now. I finally ended up buying the Blu-ray because by golly, I wanted to own this movie. And so I would highly recommend it. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and purchase it. I mean, it is available on Amazon. However, try to find a for free version if you can first, um, before you even think about, spending hard earned cash on it. Because just because I really like something does not necessarily mean that everybody else is going to love it like I do. Okay. So I do want to use the Deadite rating scale to give this a rating. And of course, I'm going to give it my highest rating. And that's 5 Deadites out of 5 because I think this one hits all the bases. It's very effective and very creepy possession film. So if you can find a for free version or a friend that owns it or a family member that owns it, and you can say, hey, can I borrow that? I heard about it. I'd like to watch it. And I'll do you guys a solid here, as a boss of mine once said. I'll see if it's available on Amazon right now. And even if you had to rent it for like $3.99, that would be better than paying full price. Now, it is available on YouTube, free with ads. Sorry about that if y'all hear that. And I will actually do you another solid by actually putting the link for it in the chat. In case y'all, you don't mind watching it with ads, you can hop on over to um, YouTube and check it out. Okay. All right. So the next two movies I'm going to talk about are part of this Scream Factory double feature. The first one I want to talk about is Bad Dreams. It has the great tagline, Cynthia's got a grave problem. 13 years ago, something terrifying almost killed her. Now it's come back to finish the job. Now, this movie also gets under my skin. And even to this day, it wasn't just like the first time I saw it, it got under my skin. It gets under my skin every time I watch it. And that is because of mainly one person, right? And that is Richard Lynch. By golly, Richard Lynch could make you believe he was Charles Manson because the way that they filmed the supposed flashbacks of the uh, the cult, essentially, that Cynthia, played by Jennifer Rubin, the older version of Cynthia, is played by Jennifer Rubin. She was part of a supposed love cult called Unity Fields. And so the beginning scenes, and this movie just come right out of the gate, it starts out with a bang. So you have all these hippie looking people, including a younger Cynthia that's not played by Jennifer Rubin, coming into a room, and you have Richard Lynch, who plays Harris, the cult leader, in the front of the room. Um, and he's telling them that they're going to experience the ultimate joining. And so one of the young men, is asking Cynthia if she's okay and all that. And um, says to Harris, he says, Harris, if Cynthia doesn't want to do this, she doesn't have to, right? And he says, no, she has to do this. So systematically, we watch as each person in this cult goes up to Harris, and he's got this big metal wash tub beside him, and it's got gasoline in it. And so he takes a ladle. This is one of the most frightening scenes I've ever seen in a movie. And it's simple, but by golly, does it work? Does it make you shiver? Okay. Because it's so close to reality. If you've done any kind of research into cults, if you've read about Jim Jones, if you've read about Charles Manson, if you've read about David Koresh, any of those cults, okay, this just takes you back it seems to take you back to that time period. So when each person gets up there to Harris, he takes a ladle and he ladles gasoline in, gets it in the ladle, and then he pours it over the person. And then the next person comes up, and the next person. And most of the people it seems to be almost orgasmic for them. They get a chill as they're having gasoline poured over them. And it's so unnerving. And then they quietly go back and they sit down where they were. And we also see that there are families. There's a husband and a wife and their kids sitting there. And they don't show them, ladling gasoline over the kids or anything. But that that's what's eventually going to happen. And we also see more of what happens to the people after they got the gasoline ladled on them. But we don't see a whole lot here, but it still works because after Harris has covered all these people with gasoline, he splashes some up on him, and it's almost orgasmic for him. He's just, and it is so creepy. And then he says again something about the ultimate joining. You see him light a lighter or a match, and then you see the outside of the house, and then all of a sudden an explosion and fire coming out of the windows and all that. And you just know at that point all those people are dead. So anyway, the next scenes we see are the cops and the paramedics and the firefighters and all that, and they find one person alive, and the one person they find alive is Cynthia. She's not awake, but she's alive. So they take her to the hospital. She's in a coma, and she stays in a coma for 13 years. And when she wakes up, it's Jennifer Rubin as the Cynthia character. And she has been diagnosed as having a what's called a borderline personality disorder. So she's in group therapy. Bruce Abbott plays the psychiatrist that conducts these group therapy sessions, and he takes quite a shine to Cynthia. The other people in the group have various problems. Dean Cameron plays a guy who um, likes to poke holes in himself. It's sort of like the cutting thing. And he comes up to Cynthia at one time. He said, when it all gets too much, just make a little hole. And he lifts up his shirt, and she can see that he's pushed, pins or something in him. Um, he also, there's one scene where he just cuts his arm wide open. So in that sense, it's kind of like cutting, you know. Um, so Cynthia, once she awakens from her 13-year coma, she keeps trying to tell people Harris is still there, and they're like, "No, Cynthia, Harris died in the fire." But she continues to see him, only he's horribly burned. And he keeps telling her, you have to join us, Cynthia. And if you don't, I will take another one of your friends. And so every time she denies Harris when he comes to her and says, you have to join us. You didn't join us 13 years ago. You have to now. Somebody in her group dies violently. Okay. So I really, really think that this film works. I think it's creepy. I think it's scary. Um, you might be thinking, well, yeah, Dana, what really? Is it all that scary? Yeah, it is. Um, and it's not just a slasher film, it's more like a supernatural type of film. I think of the Harris character when he's shown as kind of like a boogeyman, Freddy Krueger like thing, a character. Only Cynthia sees him when she's awake. It's not like she's seeing him in nightmares. She does have nightmares about Harris. Hey, TJ. TJ says Elm Street ripoff with a questionable doctor patient relationship, good twist ending, great burn makeup. Yeah, really good burn makeup. I don't know if I'd call it a questionable doctor patient relationship. I know doctors shouldn't have relationships with their patients, but Cynthia is definitely of age um, to be having a relationship, whether she should be having a relationship with the doctor or not. Um, hey, Coco. Coco says, gasoline smells good though. I always liked it when I was little, and my grandma pumped gasoline and bought juicy fruit gum. And it almost sounds like Coco that you may have good associations, the juicy fruit gum and being around your grandma. And those good memories are all mixed up with the gasoline pumping. I'm not saying a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I've heard some people say that they like the smell of gasoline. I can't smell too much gasoline. I get a headache if I partake of smelling too much gasoline. Superman, now do you say you just made my first purchase from Ship Factory, Return of the Living Dead 4K. Well, I'll tell you, Super Batman, I don't know if you watched it yet, but the transfer looks fantastic. Now, to get back to Bad Dreams, I don't want to necessarily get too into the twist and all that because I don't want to give it away for those of you that maybe have not seen this film. This was directed by Andrew Fleming, who also did The Craft. And producer Galen Hurd, who was producer for both the Terminator and The Walking Dead, and probably tons of other stuff. Um, like I said, it stars Richard Lynch and Jennifer Rubin. Um, Dean Cameron's on it, who I met a few years back at a convention. Um, I say, if you've never met Dean Cameron and you get a chance to, definitely do so. I thought she was older than 12, TJ. Did they specifically say she was 12? Maybe they did. I don't know, but I was under the impression that she was older. At least maybe 15, 16. But maybe not. Blizzle, you say you'd be more interested in the cult aspect. Yeah, I mean, it does concentrate heavily on cults and the cult mentality and all of that. So I think you would find this very interesting. Okay, you say if you smelled the gasoline for a long period of time, I'm sure it'd make me sick. Um, but so what's my rating for bad dreams here? Um, I'm going to bring it down just one and give it a 4 out of 5 because it wasn't quite as good for me as the Atticus Institute, but it's still pretty damn good. So I give it 4 out of 5 deadites. Definitely worth a watch, I will say. Um, so the last film, which is the other part of this double feature, is Visiting Hours, starring Michael Ironside and Lee Grant. Um, William Shatner's in this. Linda Pearl. Um, so you have a lot of recognizable names in here. So we have Lee Grant playing a journalist, a newswoman, who really has it in for I think men in general, but abusive men in particular. Okay. And I think, that's a good thing. She's trying to expose these abusive, sadistic, albeit dangerous men. So she plays this TV journalist, Deborah Ballin, and she has a crusade, particularly against domestic violence, which I think we all in here could agree is a good thing. Um, so she enrages this guy, played by Michael Ironside, and the performance is very disturbing in this, as most of Michael Ironside's performances are. Um, but he becomes obsessed with Lee Grant. He's very angry at her. He's angry at Deborah Ballin, and so much so that he wants to kill her. And he tries, and then she ends up in the hospital. Hence, this movie being called Visiting Hours, because when she is taken to the hospital after she's injured by him, he decides he's going to finish the job and he's stalking her in the hospital. Now, you may say, well, we've seen that all before and all that. Not with Michael Ironside, you haven't. Okay. You might have seen, Michael Myers stalking the halls or something like that. But you ain't never seen nothing like Visiting Hours. And it's just very creepy. Not I don't think there's actually a scene that will make you, and get, that pressure off of you. This one goes full speed ahead, high pressure all the time. A really in my opinion, well-made slasher film. Essentially, it's a slasher film, stalk and slash, basically. But it's a well done stalk and slash, and I enjoy watching it. It's very suspenseful. It's very creepy. Again, this one hits all the bases. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to have to go back up and give it a 5 deadites out of 5, because this one is essentially, in my eyes, a a like a plus stalk and slash. Okay, most of the stalk and slashes are a B and lower. This one's an A plus for me. Hence me giving it the 5 deadites out of 5. TJ says she was described as a child. Even 15 or 16 is young. Physical age and mental age are different animals. Anywho. Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that, TJ. That's fine. I just didn't know if they specifically said an age or not. The thing though with that cult, there were kids younger than her that were there with their families, which somehow I think's even worse. But anyway, so again, these reviews are not something that I want to just go on for 2 hours about. About 45 minutes to an hour tops is what I like to do with these. Yes, exactly, TJ. Those crazy Canadians, LOL. Lenore's on from Happy Birthday to Me is in visiting hours. She certainly is. And But all of the films that I talked about tonight are top notch films, in my opinion. And I would invite you guys to watch any number of these that I've talked about tonight or talked about before, and the ones I'll talk about after, I'm sure. So, the important thing is you try to find a for free version first. That's the important thing. That's what I want to impress upon you. Because the last thing I want anybody to do is go out and spend tons of their hard earned money for something that they wouldn't even deem worthy enough to use as a doorstop. Okay. And you may feel that way about some of these movies. Even if I go overboard about them, you may say, Dana's off her nut. She don't know what in the hell she's talking about. And that's fine. That's cool. It's groovy. Um, but I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed hearing me talk about another 3 films for a triple threat review show. I'm not sure if next week for Seductive Poison Resurgence, if I'm going to do another 3 triple threat review show, or I'm going to try to do something else. I'll think between then and now, or now and then, whatever. I mean, I'm crazy as a bedbug. Um, but I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. We've still got about 12 people in here. So if you want to ask me anything or make suggestions or anything like that, I probably won't stay on here completely until 9, but I can probably stay on a few more minutes. Sir Batman Nerdy said, not much more than the dead pit boss, Dana. um, Thank you, Blissful. You said great live, Dana, and new movies for me to watch. Oh yeah, heck yeah. In fact, let me see if I can find these other 2 in a for free version that you can watch. Let's see about Bad Dreams here. Excuse me. I can see you got some trailers for it. I see Siskel and Ebert reviewed it. And I see a lot of movie reviews and trailers and um, all of that. Yeah, I'm not finding it right off here. Let's check up on visiting hours. But that's not to say it might not be on Tubi or one of the other streaming sites. Now, I do see that looks like visiting hours is available. So let me put the link there for that. Oh, good. Oh, thank you, Blissful, for the bless you. You say you found one dubbed and published? Sewer Batman Nerdy say, I was surprised that Ebert liked New Nightmare or more than Siskel. TJ says, learn Polish and you can watch it, Bliss. Lissel says, LOL, TJ, if she was in a cult, her mind would have been torn down and made to what the cult leader wanted. Um, Let me see if by any chance Bad Dreams is on Tubi. Just do a search here. Might get lucky. Or we may not. Sometimes the weirdest things, things that you would think would be easy to find, you cannot find. And some things you think will be hard to find, you can find real easily. Um, in fact, I wonder if it's on the Internet Archive. Let's see here. It looks like it's only audio. Must be somebody talking about it. Steve tells me that sometimes on the Internet Movie Database, if it's well, it looks like you can rent and buy it from Amazon. So there's an option too. They did have it on Prime Video, but now it's not available. Ooh, there was a laser disc of it. So Anyway, there's a couple of links for you. So, does anybody have any more questions, comments, concerns, as my boss says, suggestions for things that you'd like to see me do stream on? I will take all those into account. Blissful, you say, I've had a fascination with cults ever since my parents were concerned I'd end up in one. Steve always likes to tease me that I would have. He said, "Yeah, you would have been one of Charlie's girls, Dana." I said, "I would not," and he said, "Oh yeah, you would have." Um, but I would hope to goodness if I had been of age when Charles Manson was running around doing his thing, that I wouldn't have joined his cult. You know, same with Jim Jones or David Koresh or any of those guys. Oh man. So have any of y'all got a great weekend lined up or anything? Any exciting plans coming up? Oh, TJ, how did you have your dental work done? I was just curious how that went. Or you can tell me it's none of my business. But I just was curious. So I myself, I've been watching a little true crime stuff. I really shouldn't be watching it because it is very disturbing. But Diane Downs, the one that shot her three children and then insisted somebody else did it back in the 80s, early 80s, like 83 or so. I've been watching that Small Sacrifices movie again with Farrah Fawcett playing Diane Downs. TJ, you say fine. I got to go back for more soon. Yeah, I'm afraid that's what's going to happen when I go back again. That they're just going to keep me coming back for a while. Yes, she was definitely messed up. Blissful, yeah. Coco, you say I watched some stuff on her about a year ago. Yeah, very twisted woman. You know, I don't even want to think about the type of person that could do that to their kids. Oh no, Super Batman nerd, that's crappy. You say I found that I won't be getting the apartment because they said that I made too much money. Well, you know how they say when one door closes, another one opens. Super Batman nerd, I think your day is coming, and you're gonna get that apartment. It may not be right away, but I believe that you'll get it. But guys and gals, it has been fun on here for yet another Triple Threat review show. I loved hanging out with you guys and gals. But I think I'm gonna get me some rest. And try to see if I can maybe get some thumbnails ready, like for the Midday with Dana and Jay show tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the watch alongs, the movie munchies, all of that. And then I'm going to try to get some extra rest. I say that every night and then I never end up doing it. You can ask Blissful or Candace or any of these people I talk to at night. I'll be up at 1 or 2 in the morning still talking to them online. But so I'm going to get off here now, but I will see everybody next time. So be sure to be right back here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, if all possible, to visit with me and Jay for a couple hours or so. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I will see everybody next time.